Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sporty's first webinar for 2019, and that is on the brand new 2019 Sporty's courses for private and instrument. A lot of great new features to talk to you about. I am your facilitator and co-host today. My name is Eric Radtke, and what I do here at Sporty's is serve as the chief flight instructor and lead our educational division. Joining me and also hosting and to talk to you more about these great new features for 2019 is my colleague Bret Koebbe, who also serves as a senior flight instructor at our educational unit, Sporty's Academy, and leads our development and production team, and is responsible for all these great new features that you're going to see before you. Bret also serves as editor of Sporty's online publication, iPad Pilot News. And if you're not already a subscriber of iPad Pilot News or haven't seen all the great content and features, and haven't heard that, of course, the iPad has certainly transformed so much about the way we fly, check out iPad Pilot News and get yourself signed up for free. To tell you a little bit more about how the presentation is going to go today, we're going to give you just a very brief history of what we do at Sporty's Academy and how we got started in courseware and course development. Talk to you a little bit because we have a suspicion that many of you on the program are just getting started with your flights training or are just investigating how to get started in your training, and we have some tips and resources to point you to help in that investigation. We're going to give you some real key tips and takeaways for how you can enhance your overall flight training experience through the use of a self-study program like Sporty's. Finally, what most of you are probably here for is, of course, to learn specifically what is brand new in this 2019 courses launch. We're going to give you a little bit of a demo and then give you some, again, key important tips in order to get you started. Before we go much further, let me offer just a couple of housekeeping items in terms of the webinar presentation today. So we are going to have a little bit of activity, and we are going to ask you a poll question to get started to learn a little bit more about who is in our audience, and you can use the GoToWebinar controls to respond to that. You can also use the control module of GoToWebinar to submit any questions that you may have. At the end of the presentation, we will give an opportunity to respond to some questions. However, anytime if you'd prefer to email your questions privately or even after the webinar is complete, you're welcome to do that anytime, and you can email cfi@sportys.com and we'll be sure to respond to all of those. Today's presentation is also recorded, so if you happen to miss something that we said or wish to come back at a later time to review a few of these tips, you'll be able to do so as often as you'd like. The presentation will be available via the Sporty's YouTube channel, and it will also be available in the Sporty's webinar archives. Just from a little bit of history, and I know for many of you who have interactions and a history with Sporty's, you know Sporty's to be that retailing giant in aviation for all of your supplies and educational resources to go out and help you be a safe pilot and help you get better utilization and enjoyment from that pilot experience. But Sporty's roots, which go back all the way to the early 60s, are very much an individual flight instructor. Our chairman and founder, Hal Shevers, very much active in the company to this day, was an individual flight instructor who provided instruction predominantly to aircraft owners working towards an instrument rating. And similar to what we do today, Hal took a lot of inspiration and feedback from those students in order to improve the way he taught, improved instructional methods, and also to gain inspiration and ideas for different tools and resources that pilots needed on the flight deck. And that was really how Sporty's got its start. But first and foremost, we're an education company, and that allows us, again, that hands-on experience working in the flight training environment to be able to deliver all the other products and services that you've come to know and expect. While Hal was out there in providing this individual instruction, which turned into larger classroom instruction in assisting people in completing these formal ground schools and improving their performance on the written exam. Similar to what we do today, we were interested in scalability, and we were interested in reaching more and more students and helping more and more students succeed and welcoming more and more students into this wonderful world of aviation. And we wanted to, capture and make use of the available technology of the age to kind of help reach that goal. And we did formally in 1987. We founded our educational unit, Sporty's Academy, and it was there to take everything that we had learned and all of that great content that had been developed over the years and use the technology of videotape that was available at the time to produce that, to kind of reproduce that course content in a format that could be distributed, to use that media of video, which lends itself so well to aviation instruction and reach more and more people. Today, we have a whole complement of training resources in addition to all that great development work in the online courseware and the app development and courses we still deliver in a DVD format. We do operate a very active flight school at our headquarters location at the Claremont County Airport in Southwest Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati, delivering everything from recreational to career pilot training and a whole host of aviation-related services. Supporting our flight school, we do have written testing, airman medical services available, check rides, and all kinds of, in just a whole complement of both resources and staff to help add to that overall learning experience of all the students. So if we can ever help you out in the aircraft, we are happy to do so at our facility in Batavia, Ohio. And I'm going to welcome my colleague and co-host, Bret Koebbe, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about what we do on the development side.
Thanks, Eric. And as Eric mentioned, at Sporty's Academy, a big part is training pilots, and we do that in person with our fleet of aircraft at the Claremont County Airport near Cincinnati, Ohio. But as he mentioned, the video transition that Sporty's took on in the 80s has allowed us to reach many, many more pilots worldwide. And I put a couple of pictures up here of some of our productions over the years. And it's interesting. We get a lot of questions when people come to Sporty's and take a tour, which we're always happy to host you. If you're ever in the area, please stop by and swing in, and we'd love to show you around. But customers come in and pilots, and they want to look for our production studios, thinking maybe like a news station or something you might see out in Hollywood or California. And what's interesting, our production studios are focused on editing, but our shooting, all the action really takes place out in the airplanes. So we really pride ourselves in our productions of being around and in airplanes for the entire thing. So you're not going to see in these productions a lot of people talking to you in the traditional lecture format. Rather, you're going to go out and see, as you can see in some of these behind the scene shots here, the actual airplanes, the instruments, the controls, making for a much more valuable learning experience. Today we're shooting all in 4K cameras. The GoPro small cameras have made it very nice for getting shots in and around airplanes. We do a lot of air-to-air videography and photography as well while we're out doing the shoots. But having the actual airplanes at our school makes it very efficient for us and allows us to stay up to date as we produce new content, because we can really just go out, get in an airplane and record and update segments as needed. So a very nice benefit of being at the airport. The next slide here, I will show you also the editors and the content creators on our team are very talented. So we take concepts in addition to the what's shot in the airplane, but also bring those to life in a 3D environment. So a lot of very high quality, detailed, in-depth animations to help understand aerodynamics, understand how an engine works. Things that sometimes are complex can be broken down into very simple, easy to understand learning objectives when you can see them and visualize them that way. So in our courses, we spend a lot of time and effort on, if we can't really show something in the airplane or show a task or technique, we go to great lengths to create that in a visual format using some really neat animations. And it makes, again, for a much more engaging learning experience to work through that. So you'll see that as a trend throughout as you we go through some of the demos here and you check out the videos on your own, what that content is and kind of our workflow and motivation for producing it that way. So another point too, Sporty's, as Eric mentioned, is the retail giant, but there's really a couple of different entities to that. So there's the pilot shop, which is the retail side, which supplies all the products that the pilots have known and loved for over 50 years. Then there's also the Sporty's Academy side, which is also located there at the airport. And that's a picture there of our flight school aircraft and hangars. But we really want to be your one-stop shop for everything during your training. So we're here with the Learn to Fly course. We have an instrument rating course should you decide to add that on to your pilot certificate, but then also your products as well. And you can check all that out at sportys.com and our partner site at sportysacademy.com. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Eric to talk about getting started in flight training.
Thanks, Bret. So for those of you, again, we have a number of people that are on with us for the presentation that are kind of involved in this investigation and completing a ground school maybe ahead of going to the airport. So there's very quick and easy key takeaway, how to get started. Probably the strongest piece of advice I could give is go to the local airport, go to a particular flight school and take a flight. All flight schools offer some introductory flight package, typically at some type of special rate or discounted rate, and that will really give you an opportunity to interact with some of the staff, see firsthand the type of support resources that might be available, really start to get a feel for the type of organization you're working with. Now, evaluating a flight school, it doesn't need to be much different than how you might evaluate any business in your everyday life, and who you might choose to actually do business with and interact with. Look at the details. Something that is trivial as the condition of the bathrooms can certainly tell you a lot. You know, an organization that cares about the details, that cares about a clean, supportive, modern environment, that is certainly a strong indicator that that's an organization that's going to take a keen interest in your success. So if you happen to know this is also, if you get to the airport, this is a great opportunity to seek out another pilot, see who's sitting in the lounge areas or who's coming in for a flight. Strike up a conversation. Hear firsthand from that individual what their experience has been like. Would they recommend or would they refer you to that same school? Maybe they'll have a great referral for an instructor that's going to see you through. So there's nothing like that trip. You can learn a lot on a website. You can gather a lot of information, but you don't get that emotional connection or feel until you actually get to the airport and see what that organization's all about. To help you and give you even some other insightful tips on some key areas that you should ask about and you should think about and what to expect perhaps on that introductory flight. So there are no surprises when you go there. We do have an online journal, a free online resource, studentpilotnews.com. Whether you are a brand new student pilot or you're one of those rusty pilots that are out there, there's great resources here for you. There's helpful video tips. There's ongoing articles that are added on a regular basis. There's fun interactive quizzes. There's video tips. There's great aviation imagery that you can look at. It's just a great way to kind of sit back from the comfort of your home or office or even at the airport and just immerse yourself in aviation. Now, how to get started, how to execute kind of a plan, whether you're coming back from a hiatus or whether you're getting started for the first time. A message I want to deliver, an important message, is that you need to take control and own the experience. Don't be a passive observer of how this is going to go. Don't think that just the flight school organization or the individual flight instructor is in control. You have a lot of control this modern age. You have a lot of choices. You know best how you're going to learn. You know best how you wish to consume information. So own that experience. Take the necessary steps to A, make your experience more enjoyable, and B, make the most efficient use of your time and money. We won't use terms such as expensive or cheap because those mean such different things to different people. But I think we could all agree that we're looking to a good value. When we go to a school, when we invest our money, we want to receive good value for that. And owning that experience is certainly a big part of that. And making use of a self-study program like we're talking about today, that's the key component of how you do that. Because what you can do is not only can you prepare effectively for each and every lesson and look ahead to topics, but you can master much of this theory and much of this ground school study that you hear about and have yourself well-versed in preparation for your time in the airplane and also well-prepared to be able to execute and complete that kind of initial hurdle if you're brand new, which would be that FAA written test. And there is no, as Bret pointed out, you're not going to find within the Sporty system anyway, any traditional classroom lecture. This is a very modern learning style. We're using that great media of video to place you in the airplane so that you can visualize key concepts. We're going to use animations and graphics to help further explain and dive deeper into certain topic areas. So that's how you make the best use. Continuing on that topic of how you can make best use and why a self-study course we think is a key ingredient and something that will pay for itself many, many times over. It brings everything to life. It's not black and white text on a page that then you have to try to go gain some unique perspective to see how it's actually applied. We give you the perspective. We give you the perspective by placing you in the airplane. It's going to bring all those concepts to life. You're going to actually see the procedures. You're not just going to see a diagram on a piece of paper about how ground reference maneuvers or steep turns or an aerodynamic stall series or performance takeoff and landings are going to be performed or should be performed. You're going to see those procedures in real time so that when you get into the airplane, you're not seeing them for the first time. We're showing you this content in video form. We're also showing this in text form as well. Not only are you going to be well prepared for each of those flight lessons, but ground lessons as well. All of your learning activities going to include some brief. That's the obligation of the instructor to make sure you understand the theory and those kind of ground-based elements that you're going to be applying in flight. Because of this courseware and many of these self-study programs are so well indexed, no matter what type of syllabus that you might be using at a flight school, you're going to be able to use the indexing features and the naming convention that's present within the Sporty's courseware to find those topics and make sure that you've explored all that you can possibly explore before you get to the airport. And then finally, related to that written test, certainly it's no secret that, and I would be the first to admit, that there is, while it's getting better and it's much improved, there has always been a little bit of a disconnect in how the actual FAA written test is presented versus how you're actually going to fly the airplane. And many people choose to kind of explore those or go down those preparation paths separately. So within, again, the Sporty system, you're going to get to see actual questions, exactly how the FAA is going to present those. You're going to be able to take simulated practice tests and choose individual topics, areas, and study sessions so that, again, no surprises on that actual written exam when you get there. And finally, at the conclusion, when you meet those requirements, you're going to be presented with a certificate of completion that can, show a flight instructor or flight school in writing exactly what you have accomplished. And this same certificate, for all of you new to aviation, serves as your actual endorsement to go take the FAA written exam. So you do not necessarily have to even interact with a flight instructor before you complete that key first step. And with that, to highlight some of these new 2019 features, I'm going to turn things back over to Bret Koebbe.
Want to be a better pilot? Sporty's courses will save you time, money, and frustration during flight training. The updated 2019 edition brings new content, more flexible app options, and smarter study tools to offer an unmatched training experience. Here's what's new. Now you can study anywhere, anytime. In addition to the award-winning online course platform, iOS app, and Apple TV app, Sporty's now offers a powerful Android app. This easy-to-use app works on phones and tablets, allowing you to stream videos with an internet connection or download them for offline viewing. Best of all, progress is automatically synced between formats, so you can begin studying on your Android phone, continue on your iPad, then finish on your laptop. Ever wanted to review all the video segments that cover steep turns? Now you can with Sporty's comprehensive video search tool. This quickly searches every word of the video segments, plus the corresponding review notes. It's a great way to prepare for the oral and check ride. Preparing for the FAA knowledge test has never been easier. Sporty's course allows you to take simulated FAA tests or create custom study sessions. Now there is enhanced tracking of your practice test performance with detailed statistics and more review options. Create a new study session based on all questions, questions you've answered correctly, questions you've answered incorrectly, or questions you've marked. You can also create a smart study session where the course automatically creates practice tests based on your weakest areas. Ideal for last-minute study, it's just another way Sporty's course makes your training more efficient, so you spend less time reviewing and more time on the areas that need help. Our team of flight instructors writes simple explanations for every test question, so you know why an answer is right or wrong. In addition, you can now view the reference material from which the answer is based and directly view the resource online. This includes the FAR's, Airplane Flying Handbook, Aviation Weather, and more. Our video segments are continually updated to include the latest technology and regulations. Major updates this year include ADS-B technology, managing turbulence, instrument flying technique, incorporating the iPad into your flying, and glass cockpit tips. Beyond just videos and test prep, Sporty's course is a complete flight training platform, integrating with third-party tools like the 4Flight app and Redbird simulators. New for 2019 is integration with the popular Cloud Ahoy flight playback app. Connect your Cloud Ahoy account so that any flights logged in Cloud Ahoy will sync, including a listing of each flight maneuver from the lesson. Plus, every maneuver shown in the Cloud Ahoy flight log will be connected to the respective video training section and flight maneuver in the Sporty's course for quick review. It's the perfect connection between in-airplane maneuvers and at-home review. Keeping your flight instructor in the loop is easier than ever. CFIs are able to view a complete listing of all videos in the course and which have been completed, so they'll know what subjects you've covered. Plus, CFIs will see completed test results with the ability to open up that session and see how the student answered each question. Sporty's 2019 courses are everything you need to prepare for the written test and pass the check ride, with ground school, test prep, and real-world training, all in one easy-to-use package. We guarantee you'll pass all 3 tests or we'll refund your money. For more information, including a free demo, visit sportys.com/courses.
So the 2019 version of our Learn to Fly course, we released this at the end of 2018 actually, and it represents really one of our biggest updates that we've ever accomplished with this program, including new platforms with a brand new Android application. Allows you to use it on a native Android phone or tablet when on the go. We also added a lot of new content, video training content to the course itself, keeping up with new technology, glass cockpits, GPS, ADS-B, which is a part of the new air traffic control system. So we really make an effort to keep this up to date and really stay ahead of the curve on things with aviation technology. Now, kind of a quick history, as Eric mentioned earlier in the presentation, this program started on VHS tape. That's actually what I used back in 2000 when I learned to fly back at Sporty's Academy. Now, majority of customers use the online or the app version, which is great because we can keep it up to date and you get those updates for free, essentially, once you purchase the course. So as we put out new content or put out new app features, new online course features, you're going to automatically get those as we put them out. And of course, initially as the online version came out, probably the mid-2000s, we transitioned from watching it on DVD and VHS on the TV to using it on a computer. And then with mobile apps, we use it on the iPhone, the iPad. 2019 courses, you can also now use it on the Android app. Now we're making the transition back to the TV again, since streaming TV services are so popular and ubiquitous throughout the US. It's really coming back to the TV now, so we've kind of come full circle in the picture, a big picture of the training environment. And at the end, we're going to give you a sneak peek of a new platform that we're working on and that will be out next month that will also be for the TV. So stay tuned for that at the end for a really nice announcement there. So along with the 2019 courses, and kind of bigger picture also, these courses develop and evolve based on customer feedback. We have a lot of great ideas internally, but we take emails daily with customer requests, customer ideas, and that's how we really get a lot of the good feedback and implement those into the course development. And one of those that we received over the last couple of years was, hey, we really want to have an Android application. So we listened to pilots, customers, and agreed wholeheartedly, and that was one of our big new features for this year. So if you already own the course, you can go into the Google Play Store, or if you're looking to purchase the course, go to the Google Play Store and you can access all the video and test prep components on a mobile Android device. It's really slick, brand new, state-of-the-art app with taking advantage of all the new features in Android. Now, with the course, you don't have to pick your platform. You can pick whatever makes the most sense for you for that day. So let's say you have an Android phone, an iPad, and a laptop. You can watch video training on any one of those, and your progress automatically stays in sync. So you don't have to worry about switching back and forth and having to go through and take content. It's very seamless. It's all tied to your Sporty's user account. You'll sign in to any of the platforms, and all your progress will automatically update behind the scenes on that. That also goes for your test preparation. So as Eric mentioned, the goal here is to work towards your completion certificate and your FAA knowledge test endorsement. And the way you do that is by achieving 2 80% scores in the course itself. And again, you can do that in the iPad app. You can do it in the online version, Android app. Those will all credit towards your completion of the course. So a lot of pilots we see like to watch video on the big screen, the Apple TV, or maybe their laptop. But then when they're out on the go, they can study some test prep questions on a mobile device, or even watch video there also. They stream as well. So it's completely up to you how you want to go about that. What I'm going to focus here in the demo is mainly the online course. The apps have pretty much the same feature set as far as the video and test prep training goes. The one area I will point out on the mobile apps, though, the Android and the iPhone and iPad, is that you can download video segments for offline viewing. So let's say you're going to be on a long airline flight or possibly an area without an internet connection. Just like all the major media apps like Netflix or any kind of magazine type app, you can download those video segments and use the training course in a completely offline environment. So a good resource there for those looking for something along those lines. So let me switch my screen up here, and I'm going to go over to the actual course itself now. So this is what I call the portal, the home page of the course. And this is where you can see the Learn to Fly course here in the center, top center. If you have other Sporty's courses, they will appear here. It allows you to keep all your training focused and organized. We have for many other courses, as I mentioned, instrument training, focus on the Garmin G1000. We have transition courses for helicopters, multi-engine airplanes, and the list goes on. And when you go to the demo link that we'll provide here at the end, you can check all those out if you're interested. Let's jump into the Learn to Fly course here at the top. And the Learn to Fly course itself is really the platform. It includes private pilot training, recreational pilot training, and sport pilot training. Majority of students and customers we see typically go for the private pilot certificate. It gives the most options and freedom and flexibility in different types of airplanes. But this is a great course for sport training as well. We have seen an uptick in sport pilot training, and this course has everything covered for that. Main difference is the video is covered in the sport pilot, different regulations, different types of airplanes, some different rules you have to learn. But the core of the course itself is the Learn to Fly course. So we're learning to fly an airplane. And whether you're doing recreational sport or private, we're all going to start in the same spot, which is the fundamentals of aviation and learning to fly the airplane. Now on the left-hand side, you can see a list of all the video segments. And then here's our video player in the middle. And then some segments also, point this out here, we'll start streaming the video, which won't be able to do a great demo here due to the internet limitations of the webinar software. But the video would stream. It's full high definition. It will automatically determine your computer's internet connection and play the highest quality up to a full 1080 resolution video. Each section also has review notes, as you can see, so you can get the key takeaways. Great for studying later on if you want to not watch the entire video training segment again, but get the key points from it. And what I really like here is the addition of this video review quiz. So the primary training segments will have questions that are covering the content in that video, again, to reinforce the key takeaways. So if we select the answer here, we get feedback that that's correct answer. But also we go one step further. Every single question here is linked in time to the video. So if I push the explanation button just under the right side there, and again, this probably won't happen too quickly because of the speed, the video will jump right to the part of the video that explains that question. So as you go through and you didn't fully understand something or maybe incorrectly answer a question, you can use that explanation button to, again, find out more about that. So a great tool to use throughout the video training side of things. Now, kind of, again, talking about the history of the product, In VHS tape and even DVD, you used to watch the course start to finish in a linear fashion. You didn't want to rewind a lot on a VHS tape, and DVD, same thing, sit back, relax, and let it play through. We still recommend that same procedure when using the course, going through each of the 6 volumes here on the left-hand side. Watch through it in order. It progresses in the building block type format, so starting with the basic content at the beginning, building up to more complex topics for the test at the very end. But we added a new feature for 2019, which is a feature that you find on just about every software or mobile app. At the top right corner here, next to the logout button, you'll see a search button. So this is great, even at the beginning, if you just want to focus on something like landings. Say you want to jump to the fun part of your flight training. So let's search for the word landings here in this example. And we'll let the wheel spin. And it's going to go ahead and find every section that has to do with landings and prioritizing and weighted to be the most important topic at the top here. So here we have a section on normal landings. I can tap on that and it'll take you right to the landing section. We've entered literally thousands of keywords. So there could be even topics that, you know, the section you might not think covers, like how to use a sectional chart or how to use a plotter. You can enter those keywords and then jump right to that topic. So great way during your training and then as you prepare for the check ride to jump back and reinforce key topics. So the other big component of the course that the pilots have anxiety over is the FAA knowledge test. And for 2019, we completely rewrote and reprogrammed how this works. Again, based on a lot of customer feedback and students' feedback over the years. We have nearly 1,000 questions in our database. The FAA does not publish test questions. Haven't done that, I think, for over 15 years. So we're actively researching what's on the test and writing our own custom questions. And they're organized here into 6 main categories, as you can see. And right away, at the first glance, you can see that we have some analytics on the right-hand side to track your performance. So our goal here is to put this right in your face. So as you start to practice FAA tests, practice tests, and study test questions, you can see how you're doing. See maybe some weaker areas so you know where to focus on as you go about your studying. So the place to start up is the top left corner. It says study test questions. So we're going to do that for now to show some of these new features. And we added several new study options. So you can study categories of questions, which we'll go over here in just a minute. You can select random questions. So maybe you just want to study 20 random questions, just a quick study session just to test out your knowledge. A brand new one for 2019 is the Smart Study Session option. And what this does, again, after you start to build up some progress in history, we have built in some formulas and analytics to go in and say, I want to focus on just the questions and subject matter that I'm most weak in, so that I can focus my efforts most in the right direction as you prepare for the test. So Smart Study Session will then allow you to pick a selection of 1 to 50 questions, and based on past performance, will generate a session to help you really drill in on those weak areas. So a great way, again, to focus for a limited amount of time to beef up your knowledge on certain subject areas. We also added the ability to mark questions and come back to them at a later time. This was another customer request and a really great feature now. So as you're going through a test session or a study session, you can mark a question that you might not fully understand and use that study marked questions option to come back to it later, maybe for your own review or to bring up with your flight instructor to check out. Study questions answered incorrectly, another way to focus just on weaker areas, and then a flashcard mode where you can study questions without seeing the answers. As you'll see here, our focus of this is really not just rote memorization. We want you to actually learn the material. So as we go into the session, you'll see some of that in there. And by being able to look at incorrect questions and studying flashcards, we really help to reinforce that. There's no right or wrong way to go about this, but my preference is, in working with my students, is to have them focus on particular subject matter initially. So as you can see here, aircraft performance has 4 subcategories. Airplane systems have subcategories. So you can really drill down into very specific questions and their subject matter. So here it looks like we scored 70% in the systems section. So let's go ahead and study some of those questions, and we'll create that session here. So in this mode, you'll see the answer selections, the question, and when I select an answer, it's going to tell me right away whether I got that correct or incorrect. In this case, I chose the incorrect answer, and the green answer represents the correct answer. In addition to the 1,000 questions we have in our database, we've also written custom explanations for every single question. So again, it really helps to make this a learning experience and not just memorization, because there is some, basic rote memorization here with federal aviation regulations and some pretty black and white topics, but there are also some learning experiences here too. So by answering the question, getting the feedback on the explanation, you can really learn a lot about this. Also includes all the figures you need to answer the question. So those are incorporated nicely into the program. And you can also download a PDF of all those if you'd like to have them handy side by side on another computer or iPad if you wanted, or print them out. And then one other thing I like about this, we added this last summer as part of the 2019 courses. Every single answer has a reference to where you'll find that actually in the resource. So whether it's the federal aviation regulations, the airplane flying handbook, whatever it might be, we can click on this and it'll load that PDF resource or the document, whatever it might be there. I won't wait for it here since, again, I'm on a little bit slower internet connection, but that'll load up in a matter of seconds to check that out. So you can read into it more and understand better what's going on. Here's your mark function up here, a little blue caret in the top right corner of the question, and that will allow you to come back and view that question later by looking at marked categories. So let's go ahead and grade this. I know it's incomplete here, but just to show you, you'll get a quick analysis of how you did on each category. Typically, those will be in the greens because you're going to do well in this as you study through the knowledge test. But also, we added new options this year to create additional study sessions based on this session. So not only can you review your answers, you can go in and say, I just want to study just the incorrect answers, or I want to look at just the marked questions. So lots of flexibility there on how you can go about that while preparing for your knowledge test. On the far right, top right up here is the practice FAA test. That's where you'll go in and take your simulated knowledge test. Take as many as you want. Don't worry if you get poor scores at the beginning. That's all part of the learning process. So you'll find quickly enough that you'll start to improve and be scoring in the 90s before you know it. At any time, you can come back and use this Review My Tests function here in the middle. This allows you to go back and look at previous test sessions. And this page was redesigned also for this 2019 update. Again, at the top up here, you can see how you've done across the board on all your different performance categories. And you can come to any session here and review it. So let's say you took a session at the very beginning and you want to say, what did I really miss when I first started? I want to go back and just look at the incorrect questions, for example. You can go back and do that. So really focus again on those areas where you need a little additional study and practice and preparation. And then an analysis tool here, you can go back and check again your, let's pull a different one up that has better progress. Come here and see your analytics on how you did on that session. Again, helping you to zero in and focus on areas that you might want to review more on. So very comprehensive selection of test preparation tools. And again, the goal here as you work through this is to build up and get to test scores over 80% as you work your way towards your endorsement. One other feature I want to point out before hitting a couple other the 2019 editions is the flight maneuvers guide. This is where we really take the training aspect and bring it to the airplane. So we have 32 different maneuvers, and I'll get a screenshot up here if this loads up to take a look at it. But they're all 3D animations that show you how to complete each flight maneuver. And as you can hear from that, they're narrated as well. They'll take you step by step. So as your instructor informs you of what you're going to cover in your syllabus the next lesson, you can come in here and prepare for it and do some armchair flying to get ready for that day, to do a takeoff or to do some slow flight, whatever it might be. In addition to the video, there's step-by-step descriptions here to explain how to perform the maneuver, the objectives, common errors. So good kind of place to start and revisit before each flight lesson to prepare and get a better feel for it. So you can kind of see and get the big picture. This is really a comprehensive flight training course. We have a robust test preparation. We have over 14 hours of HD video, but then also the maneuvers guide here to prepare you for that aspect. So a couple new features that are pretty exciting. I'll bring out here to the homepage here again on the portal is that we partnered with Cloud Ahoy. And what Cloud Ahoy is, it's an application for iPad that you can run while you're doing your lessons, and it will record your GPS position, your pitch attitude, your bank, all that if you're flying with certain accessories. It allows you to come back later on and review that. So you can review it with your instructor, see areas where you may have strayed off your altitude, or you can watch your traffic patterns and see them again in a 3D space. Now, we've linked up here with Cloud Ahoy, so if you have a Cloud Ahoy account, you can sign in and you'll connect that to your course account here, which I've already done for this case. What will happen then, every time you complete a flight and record a flight with Cloud Ahoy, it'll show up here on this flights page. And it'll bring the key details like the date, the airplane, the type. I have a quick access here to view that flight on the Cloud Ahoy web application, which I'll pull up here just to show you because it's pretty slick what they can do there. This kind of becomes a digital logbook, a digital flight log really, of all your past training flights. And when used properly, it can really help you go back and debrief with your instructor what you did. So you can see your flight path here. And on the left-hand side of the screen, it will actually show you and analyze what maneuvers you accomplished. So it can tell when you did slow flight, it can tell when you did steep turns, and it logs that as a task on a lesson. So what we did is we've gone one step further. Let me find my window here. We've gone one step further, and so each time that flight is logged, Cloud Ahoy tells us what maneuvers you did. So in this lesson, looks like they practiced takeoff, steep turns, go arounds, touch and goes, a traffic pattern, and a landing. And that's all automatic. You have to do nothing. This just shows up every time you log one of your Cloud Ahoy flights. And I can click on one of these maneuvers, and it's going to bring up the video training subject matter for that maneuver. So it allows you to take the training log and go back and review the actual video training in the Sporty's course right from this little platform here. So a nice tool for those that are using Cloud Ahoy. And it might encourage you to go and use Cloud Ahoy as well if you're not already. And I highly recommend you check it out. Last thing I want to cover in this demo is the progress sharing feature. And what this allows you to do, and this is really, again, rebuilt for 2019 and more robust now, I can hit this Share My Progress button here at the top right and enter an email address of a flight instructor, a colleague, whoever it might be, most likely your flight instructor. And when you share that now, let me switch screens, they're going to get an email. Let me go to the next slide here. They're going to get an email that will allow them to view your progress in the course. Here's what that's going to look like. So they can log in and they'll see which video segments you've completed, lesson by lesson. And they're also going to be able to see every single practice test you've taken. So this is very helpful. Let's say that you do have some questions for your instructor. They can monitor that and see which questions you answered incorrectly or maybe marked, and they can come back and review that with you at a later time. So that's all included with the course. Just use that Share My Progress and send it on to your flight instructor and kind of make it more of a team effort during your training. Not required to have an instructor to use this course. It really covers everything that you need to know in the course itself. But of course, you're going to be flying with that person during your training. So helpful to share your progress with them. And I think it's also helpful that they can see what you've done. A lot of instructors maybe may not have had students that use an online program like this, and they might be wary of it or not fully understand how comprehensive it is. So it's a good tool to send it on to your instructor to check out. So quick review. Again, here's kind of our picture here of all the platforms, the online course, and then we have the mobile apps for iPad, iPhone, and Android. And as I just mentioned, it's self-paced, and you can kind of see the flow there. We just went through some of the exercises and training pieces and how you go about that. A lot of it you're going to do on your own. You're going to watch through all the video. You're going to practice tests, but then you're going to come back to it during your training and study flight maneuvers or study a certain video segment. Probably going to come back to it after you earn your certificate too. It's a great review after some time to come back if you haven't done slow flight in a while or a steep turn to review how to do that maneuver and stay proficient. Modular, mentioned everything's in sync, so you can start on your iPhone and pick up on your iPad with the online course. It all stays together. And again, the complete program, so flight training, ground training, and test prep, which really there's nothing else out there like this. It has this kind of comprehensive training material that works on all these different platforms also, including the big screen on your Apple TV at home. Okay, so now you've seen that. I'm going to turn it back over to Eric now, who's going to go in and show some specific tips on how you can use the course through your training and some really specific examples about that.
Okay, thanks, Bret. Lot of great information there, and I know from some of the feedback we're getting from those in attendance today, it kind of begs the question, well, okay, all these resources are great, and I know kind of along this journey from when I start to when I get with a flight instructor and I'm working in the airplane and even beyond, these are all going to be helpful at various stages. But tell me, what do I need to know right now? What do I need to know from a strategic standpoint to get in there, get started, complete my ground school, complete my written exam? So I'm here to answer that question. Number one, we get this question a lot. I'm happy to speak offline to any individual if you want to email in as well. We recommend consuming all of that core video-based content from start to finish. This builds a very solid foundation for everything you will then do in the future. That doesn't mean you can't stop and review. I mean, that's the beauty of this type of medium. You can view things over and over as much as you possibly want. Take advantage of that. Things that you aren't quite comprehending, or the quizzes at the end of each video section, if you aren't performing as well as you want, go back and read again. There are some great textual summaries at the end of each of those individual video segments. And these video segments are purposely created in these smaller, more manageable bits of information. So sitting down in the evening with a goal of completing 2 to 3 segments is not a monumental task. It's not something that's going to lull you to sleep. There's some entertainment value. I mean, this is wonderful imagery that you're going to be looking at here. Finally, after you've completed all of this core video-based training, you've completed these video-based quizzes, and you've consumed the review notes, we then recommend transitioning into the dedicated test prep module, which you can see across that global navigation menu. Within the test prep module, Bret pointed out all those great features and the ability to create these smart study sessions so that you can continue to hone and focus in on those weaker areas. Start with some random study sessions. We're going to provide very clear, concise explanations to all of the answer choices, whether they're correct or incorrect, and then graduate, if you will, into the simulated FAA practice tests. Those are going to be timed just like the real exam. You can navigate just like the real exam. You can mark questions just like the real exam. And when you're consistently scoring in the 80s, we believe that's a key marker, and that your success is assured on the actual FAA written exam. So in order to be eligible for that written endorsement, we do require that all that video-based training material be completed, and then the 2 practice exams with at least an 80% score to help you move on. So moving on, once you've completed that FAA written exam, we have a whole other host of resources that are probably more appropriate and will be more applicable once you enter the airplane, but we do include with our program a full flight training syllabus that could be used with an instructor. An important point: if the flight school you're working with or the instructor has their own syllabus that they are using, this still very much applies, because again, the way we've organized the content, the universal searchability, the way we've indexed, you will be able to have good, effective preparation and go back and reference this video-based material no matter what syllabus you are using. But back to one of those key success drivers early on in flight training, we do think an imperative is that you are using some type of syllabus. So if the flight school or flight instructor has no syllabus, that's a warning sign number 1, but certainly at this point, I would recommend insisting that you have a plan in place. The syllabus keeps everyone on the same page. You always know exactly where you've been. You always know exactly what you're working toward. Within this syllabus, especially in the primary and even the instrument world, you're going to come to required maneuvers. That's part of the FAA prescription for how your training is going to have to be accomplished. When you get to some of these individual required maneuvers, like in the primary world, I mentioned ground reference maneuvers and steep turns and performance takeoffs and landings. Within our dedicated interactive maneuvers guide, that's when this content piece is really going to shine in terms of preparing you for what you'll do in the airplane. We're going to give you a very easy to follow step-by-step textual description of the maneuver, and we're going to illustrate and show you that maneuver in an artificial 3D environment. This is all about bringing those learning concepts to life right in front of you. And finally, our Airman Certification ACS Study Guide. This is what used to be referred to as the practical test standards. This is the examiner playbook. These are the regulatory parameters by which you have to perform and execute various maneuvers on your practical test. This will come into play as you're nearing completion, as you're nearing check ride time. You're nearing completion of the syllabus, and you want to make sure that there are no surprises. You want to make sure you know exactly the plan of action or the plan of attack the examiner is going to use on the flight test, and you'll be able to view that within our ACS study guide. And this ACS study guide also will even reference you back to the source content areas within the course. So if, again, there's a topic that surprises you a little bit or one you wish to refresh on, it's only a matter of a click and you're back to that individual content area. Don't take our word for it. We've showed you, we've demoed you all these key components and features, but you can also do this on your own time. You can go to sporties.com /my courses and have access to a host of free demonstrations for that entire library of Sporty's course offerings. So go there now, try it for free. You can also go to the Apple App Store or get the Android app from Google Play. And you'll have the option to, if you're satisfied with what you're seeing, and again, if you kind of use and execute in exactly this prescribed manner that we're outlining, we think this investment will pay for itself many, many times over. But you can download the app for free and then choose to make individual course purchases. And big announcement, you're the first to hear. But coming very soon, for any of you Roku TV users, you're going to have the opportunity to consume this content on a dedicated Roku TV app. So stay tuned for that. We'll be sure to splash it all over our website and in emails, so that you'll know exactly when that's available, and you'll be able to enjoy this in the comfort of your home on your big screen TV. So with that, I know we have answered most of the questions that have been submitted already. But we do invite you to email us at cfi@sporties.com if you have any follow-ups. Additional reminder that we recorded the entire presentation. It will be available in the next 24 hours, so please check back. Also, while you're checking back, do know that we just announced our entire 2019 menu of free webinar presentations. These are offered approximately once per month. There will probably be some more added from what's up there now, but do browse our offerings at sporties.com/webinars, and I'm sure there's going to be a topic that you see there that will grab your interest. With that, on behalf of Bret, my co-host, and our entire Sporties team, thank you so much for joining us. We hope it's been worth your time. We hope you'll come back and investigate a little bit further, and best wishes and success, whether you're getting into aviation for the first time or just coming back. It's going to be a great journey, and we hope to be an integral part of that, and hope to see you again very soon. Have a great afternoon.